Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
Mr. Soprano, how are you today? I'm Dr. V. Hops today. I'm a neurologist.
Okay, so there you were behind the counter and the victim was facing you. Is that right?
Yes, and I'm telling him that I don't have the box in the cigarettes he wants, only soft pack. Then I see a blue car go by. Then I hear something. Then I hear the window is cracking. Then it crashes in.
You saw the bullets coming out of the blue car?
I saw it.
Ladies and gentlemen, as an actor, my first guest today has been on Broadway, regional theaters across the country, and other roles which has led him to a successful 40-year career as a professional entertainer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mueen Jahan. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Right.
Thanks for having me today, Ron. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. So you are, as I read your resume, you are a true actor. From the time of your training, love for Shakespeare, and the fact that you get out there on that stage. What made you get into acting was the first question I have.
When I was a child, I think my grandmother, my grandmother probably knew before I did. But as a child, I would run around the house, singing and dancing and entertaining family members. I wasn't sure if I was just acting out or if I had, or I was just playing make believe. But my grandmother my grandmother's a traditional Pakistani woman, she's Muslim. So it was very odd that she was the one who said, you know what, you're going to be an entertainer, you're going to be a performer. So when I was around, my first play I did when I was 13 in middle school. And it was kind of a fusion of Taming of the Shrew and Midsummer Night's Dream, something my choir teacher in middle school came up with, and I acted it, and I got a lot of laughs on stage. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I was only 13 years old. But I think when I was 16, I signed up. I went to High Point High School in Beltsville, Maryland, and the drama director of the program there at the high school was very, very active, very passionate. He had degrees in theater, so he was regularly he was an English teacher there, but his passion was running the whole drama department, and it was a very active extracurricular. We had 4 or 5 shows a year. He had drama classes and various levels of acting classes in high school. So I felt like I was going to a high school of the arts. But my sophomore year, I just took it as an elective because I thought I needed an elective, and I didn't really think much of it as a career. It was just, I didn't know what I was going to be doing at 15, 16-year-olds, but I took the class. We did like this one-act play, and it was MASH. It was, the 70s TV show where there was a one-act play version of it. And I got to play Ho-John. And now at that time in the mid-'80s, there weren't a lot of people of color, there were people of color, but, none that were very active. So like the 15, 16-year-old Ho-John was supposed to be Korean, and I was the only brown-skinned person in the class. So I got to play Ho-John. And my first director, who I went to high school with, directed that. Now, my best friend, James Brown Orleans is his name. He is now on Broadway, having done The Lion King for about 20 years now. Still my best friend today, my first true hero, an amazing actor. He would give De Niro, Daniel Day-Lewis, Denzel, all of them a run for their money. But when I heard that laughter when I was on stage, I think that's what made me decide. I kind of started it off because the laughter just felt good, and I felt really comfortable on stage. But about 6 months later, we went to we did a one-act play festival. It was a competition, a state competition for Maryland, for all the high schools in drama, and I won a Best Supporting Actor award. And I think from there on out, I just pretty much decided that's what I was going to do with my life. I wasn't really good at anything but that. So I was, like I was in singing in the choir, and I was in the modern dance group, and then I excelled at theater, and all my teachers encouraged me to pursue this as a career, and I think that's what kicked it off. Long story.
Long story, but a good story indeed.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, actors have to do a little thing called audition.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about that?
It's part of the process. It's like any job. It's a job interview, but you need to show them what you got, that you can come up with the goods to put people in the seats. At the end of the day, what the producers think about is who is going to want to pay money to come see this person. What's going to be special about that person? So when they're auditioning you, I hate to go down that road, but for producers and directors, it comes down to money. They need to keep their theater running. They need to put people in the seats. And when they audition people, they need to see that this person has the charisma, has the talent, has the right requirements for whatever role they're auditioning you for, and that people will want to see them. People come to the theater to get away from reality. They come into the theater because they have one mindset on a certain topic, and if that theater piece addresses that topic, they're going to leave that theater with a different mindset or change their mind about a certain topic. Actors are storytellers, and we need to be able to engage the audience, and so when you audition, that's what the director looks for. For me, it's a little nerve-wracking. It does get a little nerve-wracking, especially, I've been doing this for 40 years, and in the beginning it was fun to audition, but sometimes it can be hard. And sometimes it can be hard when you're trying to pay the bills, and when you're juggling 4 auditions. I just did an audition for Young and the Restless that was about 3 pages long, and half of it was monologues with doctor jargon, and it was nerve-wracking. Granted, once I got it down and I started having fun with it, this is exciting, but it's unfortunately it's part of the process. Even the big stars still have to audition. They audition on a different level. Like Brad Pitt has to audition up against George Clooney, but he still has to audition. But there are also those actors who do not have to audition anymore. And my dream is to get to that point. I don't want to toot my own horn. I'm a good actor, but auditioning, it could be a little borderline for me. Sometimes I'm really good at it, and sometimes I'm not. Because when you're auditioning, all you have is now everything is self-tape, so you're standing in a room in front of people, so you're not in the real circumstances of when you're actually doing the play. And sometimes, or doing the play, or doing the film, or the TV show that you're in. So it can be a little nerve-wracking because you don't have the real actor there. You're not on set. You don't have a director there giving you the situation. You're just there with somebody looking at you, you like that, or a reader some readers are good and some readers are bad. So in regards to your question, long story short, it can be nerve-wracking, but it's a necessary platform that's needed to make sure the actors can do the job. Sometimes if you're established already,
yes,
people know your work, and they can just go to, like you showed my reel in the beginning. Sometimes if they want that if somebody's looking for that liquor store owner guy, which unfortunately I've played a lot of with the accent, they just go to my reel and say, oh, we don't need to audition for him. He's already, he's got 4 clips on his reel about that. So it's auditioning is a very complicated thing, but it's bottom line, it's a job interview. It's just like going to a job interview to be a lawyer, to be a doctor, anything. You're just going to meet the boss to get the job, and they make sure you got the goods that could fulfill their ultimate goal.
Okay. Speaking of video, I see that you did a lot of that. We showed one video cut that was drama. We also now have a cut of you as a comedian. Roll it, Tony.
What is everything? Ah! purpose.
Yes, I did it on purpose.
I told you this. I told you all she did this to me on purpose.
And to apologize.
Yeah.
That was funny. I mean, hit you right in the eye. I mean, that was quite. I see you a very talented man. I understand you go on cruises. You do work on cruises. You and I met through a local gentleman here in town, Philip Solahawk.
Yeah, Philip Kulikoff. Yeah.
Nice guy.
He and I did Hamlet together many years ago at a small theater in Hollywood, and that's how we met. But I've always seen him come to see various shows. He just came to see me in A Perfect Ganesh, and I think that's how you and I somehow got connected, because he knows the director who wanted to interview for that show, but that wasn't able to happen. But yeah. So that show that you showed, that was my first real big break in 2006. I had been struggling for quite a while doing the small little one-liners here and there. So that was a nice break for me. Back in 2006, I got to work with Ariana Grande on that before she was a huge superstar. So yeah, she was one of the 6 students at that school. So yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, right now, currently running on HBO Max, we have there's a show called The Sex Lives of College Girls, and it was just released on November 18th, and I'm in episode 1 and 6 with a nice meaty recurring guest star on that, and that's the biggest thing for me at the moment. Right now, I'm just auditioning a lot, trying to get my next job. So as I told you earlier, I just did a big audition for Young and the Restless. Fingers crossed. It's a nice little role. I love doing. I've done a few soap operas. It's actually fun work, so I wouldn't mind getting that. But who knows what's going to happen? But at the moment, that's The Sex Life of College Girls is the biggest thing I got running at the moment. But other than that, I'm just auditioning, trying to get my next job at the moment. You know, everything's kind of slow now because of the holidays, so I'm kind of just relaxing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to rejuvenate and refuel for pilot season is coming up, and this is a big deal for us as actors. So that's when they write and start casting for all the new shows that are going to come out next fall. So I am holding on to that, but that's it at the moment. So yeah.
All right. Well, Mueen, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Happy holidays to you and your family. You got a great attitude, my friend. After 40 years, you're doing it well. Thank you.
Ron, I thank you for your time, and appreciate you making me feel like I'm something special when I'm
You
really
are very special, sir. You tell people you are a guest on the actors shows.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, I appreciate it. You seem like a very kind man, and I hope we get to talk again soon. So
You got it.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thanks a lot. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to let you know that we at TAC have several winners of the TAC Holiday Giveaway. I want to thank all those people who joined in for this wonderful event. First place went to a lady by the name of Sharon Lee for a Ralph's gift card worth $50. Second place for a $25 gift card goes to Loretta Shelby. And the consolation winner of the large TAC tote bag is Justin Muellen. The Actor's Choice and the TAC Squad wish you all peace, love, joy, and safety this holiday season and throughout 2022. And we thank you very, very much. My next guest, roll it, Tony.
Ay, mamita, camina, anda. Dale un poquito para acá.
Today, I have the sheer pleasure of introducing you to one of the premier broadcast voices of our time. This woman has been doing radio for a long time, and you have heard her voice on many commercials.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest today is a lady I have known and admired for a long time. I know when I'm driving, down the road in the morning, listening to the Wave 94.7, that she is doing what we call mixing the music. She's also an actress, and sometimes we will talk about what she does on the side. She teaches broadcasting at Santa Monica College. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pat Prescott. Greetings, Pat, and welcome to the Actor's Choice.
Hey, Ron, it is so great to be here with you. We've been talking about doing this for a long time.
Yes, we have. And finally, here it is, our last episode of the year. And what better way we can do it is to have Miss Prescott to be here today.
It's a tongue twister.
But that tongue twister makes a whole lot of money. Now, tell the folks where you're from, my dear, please.
Well, I was born and raised in Hampton, Virginia. My dad was a boys club director. So when I was in high school, he got a job directing a new club in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. So we moved to New York against my will. I wasn't into it, but I fell in love with New York, especially after I got exposed to the theater and the arts and just all the fun things there were to do. When it was time for college, I went to Northwestern University, where I majored in English in the School of Education. And when I left there, I moved to New Orleans and was teaching school down there. And that was where I met broadcasting. I had, went to a school that has one of the best radio, TV, and film schools in the country, but that was not what I was trying to do. I wanted to be a teacher. And so I was going to classes at the University of New Orleans one summer, working on my graduate degree, and I met a young lady who was coordinating hostesses for the NATRA convention, which was the Black Radio Announcers Organization. So I was a hostess for that convention. And after that week of seeing, I was like, if these are the best Black broadcasters in the country, I bet I could do that. I've always had a great love of music. And so I went enrolled in a broadcasting school, a 6-month course. Almost everybody in there was on the GI Bill. I don't know how many people were ever really going to get into radio, but I was very fortunate. Someone who was in my class was a program director who introduced me to a program director in New Orleans. And before I knew it, I had a part-time job, which led to a full-time job. And a year after I started working in radio, I got they offered me a full-time job. I went on sabbatical leave from teaching, and that was 46 years ago.
Wow. Now, what station was this? Was this WYLD?
Yeah, I was at WYLD FM. I also worked at WNOE FM in New Orleans for a little while, a rock station. So that gave me some other experience as well before I moved back to New York.
Right. Now, you said going back to New York, it makes me wonder, because folks, here you go. Then you moved back to the Big Apple. The city so nice they named it twice. The city so pretty they call it Up City, the Big Apple. Love it. As you know, Harlem is my home. I worked, but you went to work at a place called WRVR. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah, WRVR was a traditional jazz station that had morphed into something that was more in line with, I think, Frankie Crocker really started that whole 360-degree total Black experience in music, where you could play a little bit of everything. Even a lot of the pop and the white artists he would play. But at WRVR, we played everything from Stevie Wonder to Return to Forever to Charlie Mingus. It was a really eclectic blend of music. It was so interesting, but the station was sold, and the new owners came in and turned the format to country and Western. Which was shocking. And that was, I think, my first real experience in understanding that in radio, that it really was a job, that wasn't like I would always be able to go in there and just have this fantastic time. There were politics involved. There was ownership. Ownership issues are always involved in that sort of thing. But it was a good lesson to learn, and really kind of forced me to branch out into a lot of the other things that I could do.
Thank you so much for saying that. Two things, of course, you mentioned Frankie Crocker, but also letting people know, they see people in the job, I can do that. It requires a little bit of training, a lot of things to get you in front of that microphone. The man is not going to put you in front of that microphone if you don't know what you're doing.
That's true. And I think that the fact that I was an educator, I knew how to speak, how to speak to people. But I also knew how to write. And so when I got fired,
I've had that happen to me several times.
They kept me for a couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
I think they put me on overnight immediately.
Yes.
And then I think what happened was I fell asleep on the air. And, you know, those songs were very short in country music. So, but at any rate, I got a job with the National Black Network because I could write. So,
Yes.
and there was Ed Castleberry and Ron Wood. Those guys who were there really taught me about the journalistic side of broadcasting. And so that helped me a lot when I did get hired by Frankie Crocker at WBLS. Frankie hired me as his backup. And since he was like the Johnny Carson of radio, you know, that was good work because you got a lot of shifts. But because I was working part-time, I also started working part-time at their sister station, WLIB, which is one of the premier Black news and talk stations in the country. And so it was really great for me that I could pivot between those two things. I worked in the newsroom, I worked on air, and then finally Frankie gave me a full-time shift doing middays at BLS.
Frankie Crocker, who did not know him? He was a good actor. He was an actor. He knew his craft. When he played the music, you knew he was coming at you.
He did, and he was the last of that breed of disc jockeys who were taste masters, you know, who would just, if Frankie liked it, he'd get on the air and play a song 10 times in a row and talk smack over top of it and whatever he wanted to do. But he was somebody who knew how to break a record. He really was, he was a creative programmer. And we don't have a lot of those now because research has really taken over a lot of the heart and soul of programming and radio.
WBLS, roll it, Tony.
WBLS kicking off a 30-minute continuous music super mix. This is a place where you'll hear something very hot today at noon. A special mix featuring some of the latest imports, some of the hottest new music around. And stay tuned with us. Gonna have the new State of Grace for you here. Right now we're getting ready for the morning workout. Glad you could join us today. Pat Prescott on this end. Don't need anything special to hang.
All right. When you get the video, you'll hear the audio that went in it. That you'll actually hear yourself, you know, doing your style on the air. You know, everybody has their own style, and you over the years you have created a massive style. Who don't know Pat Prescott? You know, I mean that's the way it goes. You know, okay. So over a 23-year period, you did a lot of places that you stayed in New York City, and then in 2001. You joined what we call, you jumped the Mississippi River. Now, let me explain that not to you, but to our people. As you know, the FCC takes the United States and breaks it East Coast, West Coast, and the middle is Mississippi. What we call M-I, crook letter, I, crook letter, I, humpback, I. Remember that?
Yes.
And you jumped the river and you came over out here to California and you had a chance to work at 94.7 The Wave. Can you show that picture, Tony? Here's a picture of you and a handsome young man. Please tell us, who is that gentleman?
That is Mr. Dave Kaz, who became a friend of mine. You know, when I left WBLS, I went to CD 101.9, which was, I believe, the third of those 94.7 The Wave type stations. Yes. Many of them started off as kind of new agey, but morphed into what we became to know as smooth jazz. And Dave and I were very good friends. And when I got fired at CD 101.9, new owners came in and they took over and they let me go and brought in somebody else that they could pay a lot less to. And I was shocked because I felt like they like me. I'm doing good here. I mean, I had great ratings and everything. But that was another lesson, you know, the lessons you learn in this business. But anyway, Dave called me and said, I heard about what happened. What great news. I just got hired to do the mornings at the Wave, and I'd love for you to come out here. And I started getting offers from across the country. So I wasn't going to come all the way out here. But when I came, Dave took me out to lunch on the Santa Monica Pier, and it was February and it was like 75 degrees. I always tell him that he really seduced me with the weather. And but it was a great offer for me, and I came here and I have no regrets. It was 20 years this past April that I've been here in Los Angeles. And who would have thought? I thought I would be here for a couple of years and then I was going back to New York, because you know how New Yorkers feel in that regard. Yes. But I have become a Southern California girl, even though I still have my apartment in Harlem. I'm not giving that up.
You do? In Harlem? Okay. That's where I'm from, so let me know.
Yeah, look, 409 Edgecombe, 155th and Edgecombe. You know it.
Oh, yes, my God. Oh, yes. Now, you're the only woman on mornings and morning drive. Is that correct? At your station?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's quite a distinction.
Yeah, it's been a great ride. I got to tell you, it's been wonderful for me, Ron. Just the opportunities that I've had. After 6 years of working with Dave, as a working musician, these guys don't expect to stay long doing this, and they often team up with someone who's a veteran broadcaster like myself. Yes. And when Dave left, he said, I had no idea how many people wanted my job. People started like auditioning for Dave's job, and they came down to Kenny G or Brian McKnight, and Brian McKnight got it. And Brian stayed for another 3 years after that. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've been solo on the morning show.
It's difficult being in a job like what Brian is, because here he is an active singer who's on tour all the time, but he still has to be on the air early in the morning.
Yeah. Well, we jumped through a lot of hoops. I mean, we were in the vanguard of what we see happening now in broadcasting, pre-recording, and we did all kinds of stuff when Dave was on tour. We recorded him from the tour bus. We did a lot of things we recorded where you'd have to do setups, a lot like what people are doing now, because you're recording things in advance. But as I always say, it was live when I recorded it.
Okay. You have been very much well known in the community, but you do have a job. You work at a place called Santa Monica College. Would you put that up, Tony, please? There it is. Look familiar.
Yes, we both know it well, don't we?
Don't we? I've been there 20 years. We know it well.
Exactly. Because I think this is a good thing for us to do as we move on in our careers, to start to speak, to write, to teach, to share the things that we've learned. And, I started out as a teacher. And so it's something that has always meant a lot to me, being able to reach back and show somebody else the things that you know.
Got you. Now, people, one of the things that people don't understand, what do we do over there? Can you explain to the folks what we do out there at Santa Monica College?
Well, what we do is we try to help prepare people who are interested in broadcasting to find a career in broadcasting. And so there is a great deal of focus on learning how to actually do things like recording and editing, because I think that if you can write and you can edit and all of those other things, you've got a really good chance of possibly getting a job. And we look at what many people are interested in these days is podcasting. And certainly if you've got those skills, if you know how to put the show together, you've got a better chance of being able to do something with it.
Wow. Now they've got, as for people who don't understand and want to get into broadcasting, just go up on your computer, smc.edu, and look for the media. I teach Media 13. You teach what, Media 19?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My course is a foundation course, and then they go and see you. So we that's how we do it.
And Redelia Shaw, I got to give a shout out to Redelia, who was there, who practically forced me to do that job.
Yes.
She would not take no for an answer. She's that person. But she's so focused on really trying to help people find their way to find work in the arena. And this is what I loved. What attracted me to Santa Monica was just the commitment of the faculty there to really prepare people for that pathway from school to an actual job. And I think that's really important. And a big part of why they do so well in preparing students for four-year colleges and for the jobs that can come even after just a couple years there.
A spring semester coming up after the winter semester. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you know anyone or you want to get into broadcasting, see Pat, see me, smc.edu. I do Media 13. She does Media 19. Pat, thank you so much for coming. Like I said, last show of the year. And who's on it? Pat Prescott.
Thank you so much for having me, Ron. And thanks for everything that you do to just provide a platform for people in our community who are in the arts. I think it's very important.
Happy holidays to you and to your family.
And the same to you.
Thank you. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm Ron Brewington. My next guest today was a former member of the Quincy Jones workshops and a concert promoter. He has an idea to provide a platform for African American culture. This platform would be in the area of comedy, which caused the birth of the Comedy Act Theater. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome visionary, innovator, entrepreneur, producer, author, and mentor, Michael E. Williams. Greetings, Michaels, and welcome to the Actor's Choice.
Hey, how you doing, Ron?
I'm doing good like a brother should. Thank you so much. It's good to see your face. And I've known this guy for a long, long time. Every time I see him, he's been busy. Now, you started out in what city? Where's your home city?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Indeed.
Yeah, that's where I was born and raised.
Born and raised. So, but you have everything, as I always thought, everything starts with an idea. Where did you get the idea to start Comedy Act Planet?
Well, it all started with an idea back in 1985 when I realized that there was really no concerted effort to bring Black comedians and the Black community into a facility that they can actually call their own to celebrate their own cultural, compatibilities. And
yes.
That's where I noticed basically an opportunity. And when I started that, I came up with the name Comedy Act Theater, which in time became, which is what it is now, Comedy Act Planet. But for those first 12 years, it was the Comedy Act Theater, and everything started right there in Leimert Park. I actually started in the Tavis Smiley's office building.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, I know that one, yes.
Before I actually moved to the Regency West. But
gotcha.
It all started there, and I am just so glad and happy and grateful that over these years, comedy has thrived, comedy has truly blossomed. The generations that have been coming forth are shall I say, you could tell, are nonstop. Comedy is going to continue to be great, memorable, and exciting, for years to come. So, sometimes I have to really look back and say, damn, I did all right. So I have to toot my own horn from time to time.
Got you. Folks, just so you don't know, this gentleman is known as the Godfather of Comedy. That's how you earned that. You earned that name, definitely.
Well, Godfathers, I don't know, sometimes there's so many Godfathers out there. Somebody told me I should be the Baba, which is a West African term for father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we got a picture of some comedians, some Black comedians.
Okay.
Look at some of these folks up there. There's Robert Townsend, Sinbad, a lot of people, a lot of folks back in the day.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Those were folks that I met who, the general public really didn't know.
Yes.
And especially the Black communities across this country didn't know existed. But they were individuals who wanted to be just like any other working comedian, an actual working comedian.
Right.
But they needed a home, and that's what I basically gave them because, again, as I said earlier, there was no concerted effort to actually bring Black comedy out to the forefront to celebrate its greatness and its power. And that's what, I was looking forward to doing because I had been working with entertainment I think I started back around 76. I was working with Quincy Jones's workshop, and that morphed into concert promoting, special events, different fundraisers, until I actually found my niche, which was to bring Black comedy to life. And so I'm saying that to say I've seen talent, and I've always seen where every now and then a comedian didn't really have that bright spotlight, like Richard Pryor or Red Fox or Bill Cosby, and when you think about all those individuals, you're thinking like just a few on one hand, Then came Whoopi Goldberg, then came Eddie Murphy. And if you remember, Arsenio was the host of the Marilyn McCool Billy Davis show. I forgot the name of it, but I'm just saying, even then, who was going to a comedy club to see him? We weren't, because we were never invited by those white comedy clubs to come and see talent, because really they were looking for their audience to remain, one way, and that was to look like themselves. And we were not that complexion.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much has that changed over the years, what you just said?
It's changed greatly. It's changed more than anything in the favor of these white clubs, because now they see a cash cow. So it's all about money. There was a time, like I said, they weren't really interested in having Black comedians, let alone a predominantly all Black audience. And when they saw where Black comedy was exploding and that there was really no turning back, they couldn't deny. So they started promoting these one night a week type shows, which some of the comedians called nigger night or black night, which were the most expensive night of the week, on both the door and the bar. And they had an opportunity to just cash in because, talent wants to succeed and talent wants an opportunity. And you can't blame them for thinking and believing that if they go, to these white clubs, they'll have a better opportunity of succeeding. Whereas it's always us, the Black folks, that say basically to the world, hey, these are your superstars. And we said they're your superstars. So, here they are. And then everybody comes and gobbles, up the talent. And next thing you know, a lot of the talent never looked back to where they started.
Michael, it's interesting as you're talking, I'm thinking in my mind about all the different ethnic groups that we have in the world. And people want to see Hispanics, they want to see Asians, they want to see Blacks, they want to see they want to see people, like you say, it's all about the color of green. It's about the money.
Right. And, and that color of green, a lot of times is most generated by the color of Black, because we are really, and everybody knows, we drive culture. Black people drive culture. And it's always been that way. And more than likely, it's going to always be that way. And again, when people see opportunity, they grab for it. And again, this is a capitalistic society. So everybody's going after the money. And when you see, again, a cash cow, you just try to grab as many as you can. And what's really unfortunate now with the fact that these white clubs are the ones that are promoting Black comedy and comedians, a lot of comedians are told they can't work some of these one night Black places in cities where these white clubs have a franchise. They're being told if you work there, you can't work, our chain. So they're caught in this situation of, do I promote and support my Black clubs, or do I eat? And so a lot of them are faced with those kind of dilemmas right now.
Some of the hottest Black comedians these days?
I would have to say, you got another generation that has emerged. You definitely have the Tiffany Haddishes, the Jay Farrells, who else? I can't even think of them. What was the little short one? Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart, Cat Williams.
Kevin is too much. He is too much. He's in all kind of commercials. He's everywhere.
Right.
He's laughing all the way to the bank.
Right. And then you have really just so many. I can't even name them. There was a time when you could just name it, 5 or 10 comedians without any problem. Now there's so many, you have to think about it. And because of the generations that have emerged since, 1985, they are just countless now.
What's the connection between them and you?
A lot of it has to do with, again, generation. I have not really engaged in participating in terms of, just really networking with that generation. I do know, I know a bunch of them, but I don't know all of them. And since the last going on 2 years now with COVID, that, stifled everything. But the relationship, I'll put it this way. They know me because they know what the Comedy Act represents. And they know that, they stand basically on the shoulders of all those that were right before them, which is that generation of individuals that you showed on that flyer. And, when I think of the shoulders that they stood, on, again, they were just a handful of people. But now, again, you can't even name them. I mean, we're talking Jamie Foxx, D.L. Hughley, Joe Torre, Sinbad, the Wayans family, I'll put it that way, Robert Townsend, Chris Tucker, Mike Epps, some more, Monique, Bruce, Earthquake, Chocolate, some more. I mean, just to name a few, Dion Cole, Damon Williams. I mean, there's so many more that are doing well, that are respected and loved and celebrated, because again, these people would not have existed had it not been for the Comedy Act recognizing the opportunity that we needed to have our own. And let me not forget the Dave Chappelles and the Chris Rocks and all those guys, because again, there's so many. Bill Bellamy, again, I can't even think of everybody at one time. Cheryl Underwood, Sherry Shepherd.
Yes.
Those were all people that came out of that, first wave of the simple idea of what would it be like if we had our own Black, facility for these people to showcase their talent. And the one thing you can't not do is hold Black folks back when they want something. And they are going to show their creativity, their imagination, and that just opens the door for so many others to come in and see the opportunities and expand on that one simple idea.
Thank you, Tony. It's interesting when I was just thinking as you were talking, in my mind was a guy named Richard Pryor. And I remember the day he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I was there when it happened. Wow. And there was an after party, and the seat that he was, I had an idea. I said, well, he's going to get this recognition, but he was a little bit sick at the time, and he couldn't take it. So I said, let's put the chair with his name on it up on the platform. And he got up there, and he really had a great day. And I'm thinking to myself, how many other Black comedians are getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
Yeah, and I'm not really sure. I do know Martin Lawrence has one. I know Eddie Murphy has one, but that was a given with those two.
Yeah,
I'm sure Dave Chappelle will be getting one soon. And I'm not sure who else has one at this point, but I do know that one day there will be, a few blocks of Black comedians scattered in and around the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
We have just a few moments left, Michael. What services, if any, that you give people, Black comedians? I'm a Black comedian. I want to see what you can do for me. What is that?
Well, what I could do right now is I can always give my little 2 cents on your material, your career. I can help guide. I can offer, just assistance and mentoring. I will be looking forward to working with some comedians soon on different projects. I'm also looking to crack open this international, group of comics that are out there. Because again, we set the stage and the world looks at us, as the African Americans in terms of what is trending and what is really possible.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, you now work out of Las Vegas, right?
No, I still work out of Los Angeles. I come, back and forth because I'm working on a couple of projects. So it brings me this way, and then I'm back. Yeah.
I can see the smile on your face when you're out there, and the work that you've done over the years, Michael, is just awesome. And like I said, they don't call you the Godfather of comedy for nothing. You really, really laid it down for a lot of people. And I hope they will know that and understand that. Yes.
Well, I hope so too. It seems like so many people, you know, tend to really neglect the power of Black laughter. And sometimes they minimize, and I'll just simply say, minimize my part in it, you know. And because, again, I never ran around saying, hey, if it wasn't for me, you know, hey, I did that, you owe this to me. You know, it is what it is, you know. But at the same time, yes, I know that I need to pat myself on the back from time to time. And yes, I have to let people acknowledge, you know, the fact that I am the one that got this whole thing going. But again, it was going to go at some point. Yes, I happen to be the one that got it going, but it was a purpose behind all that. And we could talk about that, you know, some other time. But, you know, when you know you're supposed to do something, you just simply do it. And when you know that it's necessary, you acquire the responsibility of making sure that it happens. And that's all I did. I understood, I accepted the responsibility. And now we're talking about Black comedy.
Michael E. Williams, those are some good words that you just said. I hope people will pay attention. God bless you for what you've done. Happy holidays to you and your family. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, may I say just one last thing, Ron? And that is the story of the Comedy Act. And I want people to really understand the story of the Comedy Act Theater is not my story alone. It was all the men and women that came and supported, both from the industry side, the audience side, and the talent side, that saw everything from the outside looking in, because I saw everything from the inside looking out. So there's a multitude of stories and memories out there that I'm actually in the process of acquiring, because I'm putting together a coffee table book, which is it's going to be a collection of essays for this anthology that I'm working on.
Do you have a website that people can come to you?
Yes, I do. And that's the comedyactplanet.com. comedyactplanet.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron. All right, take care.
I want to thank our sponsors, Harvey Brandman Photography as an Art, Ron Irwin's Lose Life, The Way to Lose Weight, Larry Buford's book To the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Rob Brownstein's Actor Training School and Actor Space. And much thanks to our guest today, actor Mueen Jahan, our producer, broadcaster Pat Prescott, and founder, CEO, Comedy Act Planet LLC, Michael E. Williams. And of course, special thanks to our ever-growing audience. Be well. We'll see you next time.
All right. You still there?